want to hang out. No big deal.
Some movies just get funnier every time you watch them, but this one gets a bit more strange. On the surface, The Cable Guy looks like your typical 90s comedy, but the more you watch it, the more that something just feels off. The tone shifts, the humor gets darker, and the movie begins to feel less like a feel-good comedy and more like something you were never expecting at all. And the film's unsettling vibe was not an accident. Behind-the-scenes decisions had turned what could have been a normal comedy into one of the most divisive and fascinating movies of the decade. It's awkward, uncomfortable, and hilarious, and it's way more intentional than people realize. These 12 weird facts reveal why The Cable Guy isn't only a comedy, it's one of the strangest studio films of the 90s. Number 12. Chip was almost played by Chris Farley. This weird fact could have changed everything about The Cable Guy. Chris Farley was almost the star of the movie. The role of Ernie Chip Douglas was not originally meant for Jim Carrey, and when Columbia Pictures first bought the script in the mid-90s, they pictured Farley as the lovable and goofy cable installer. Farley was a comedy superstar at the time, fresh off of hits like Tommy Boy and Saturday Night Live. But here's where a twist takes place. Farley had already signed a deal with Paramount for 2 films, which included Black Sheep. That commitment clashed with the schedule for The Cable Guy, and unfortunately, he had no choice but to step away, opening the door for Jim Carrey to take over. Imagine how different the film would have been if Farley had been brought on with his signature charm. Number 11. Jim Carrey was paid $20 million, a record at the time. When Jim Carrey signed on to play the eccentric and unpredictable cable installer in The Cable Guy, he made Hollywood history. Columbia Pictures took a huge leap of faith, offering Carrey an eye-popping $20 million base salary. That was a record-breaking amount for any actor at the time. This decision got everyone talking because it was the first time that an actor had been paid so much money up front.
Hi. Is there a problem with your service?
Yeah, my cable is out.
Really? So you called me?
People were surprised and started asking whether or not Jim Carrey's talent was really worth almost half of the movie's $47 million budget. But here's where it gets even more weird. The gamble on Jim Carrey's unique talent doesn't stop at his base salary. On top of the $20 million, he negotiated a deal that gave him a slice of the film's profits, meaning that his earnings grew even higher as audiences flocked to the theaters. Number 10. Marketed as a light comedy, but it wasn't. I wonder why they do this. I mean, why would they sell one thing but give you something completely different? The trailers and the ads make you believe Jim Carrey's new movie is another wild and laugh-out-loud hit like Ace Ventura, the kind that you just can't wait to see with friends or even the whole family. The goofy slapstick, the upbeat humor, it's all there, right? Well, wrong. What hit the screen would be something really, really dark. Instead of silly jokes, you get a story about loneliness, obsession, and a media-obsessed stalker. It was a black comedy with a lot of creepy moments. Some parts even felt like a psychological thriller, pulling vibes from movies like Cape Fear. Definitely not the light laughs that people had been promised. You could almost feel the shock in the theater when people realized this wasn't the Jim Carrey movie they thought it was going to be. People felt as though they'd been fooled into watching something completely different from what they expected. Number 9. Chip Douglas is a full psychological villain. It may be weird, but Chip Douglas, played by Jim Carrey, begins innocently enough. The film introduces him as an eccentric cable installer with an unmatched enthusiasm for making friends, but don't be fooled by his goofy smile because everything changes. At first, Chip overwhelms Stephen Kovacs, his new friend, with nonstop attention. It seems harmless at first, but it ends up being way too much. Then things take a much darker turn. Chip doesn't know how to deal with being rejected and starts stalking Steven, calling him all the time and forcing his way into every part of Steven's life. What began as socially awkward behavior quickly turned into chaos, with Chip sabotaging Steven's life, destroying relationships, and framing him as a criminal. Underneath all the funny and goofy act, Chip is a troubled person who is shaped by being lonely and his unhealthy obsession with television.
I can't believe you did this.
I didn't do anything.
He gave you a big screen TV and a hi-fi system as a present? You expect me to believe that? You know you're killing your mother with this.
I swear it's true.
Number 8. Ben Stiller directed and played twins. It might be weird that Ben Stiller, being a director, also acted in a movie where he took on the role of two different characters. All throughout the film, you catch TV news clips featuring twins Sam and Stan Sweet, both portrayed by Ben Stiller himself. These brothers are tangled up in a sensational true crime case, with one allegedly murdering the other.
Eric Roberts is Sam and Stan Sweet in Brother, Sweet Brother, The Killing of Stanton Sweet. Parental discretion advised.
Their sad story, shown as a big media event, connects to the dark and messy themes of the main plot. But what's really interesting is how this side of the story feels like a reference to famous court cases from the 90s. You know, those like the O.J. Simpson trial. And it shows how TV will often turn real-life troubles into entertainment. Stiller's short but important performance as both brothers mixes in humor with clever writing, and it makes you think about how we watch and react to media.
Cry, baby. I love you. You have always been such a
Tammy, don't.
Look who's
Tammy.
crying now.
Number 7. The medieval fantasy scene nearly got cut. The medieval times fight between Chip and Steven is one of the most memorable parts, but it almost didn't make it to the movie. It might be weird, but this wild and funny scene that's full of chaos was nearly left out because the movie's dark and unusual tone made it hard to fit everything together.
It's like when Spock had to fight Kirk on Star Trek. Best friends forced to do battle.
Director Ben Stiller and the team were trying to figure out different ideas during production, and for many scenes they filmed both more funny and dark versions since they weren't sure how much of each to include. It became a tough choice that left everyone guessing what the final movie would be like. The script originally had parts that were so shocking, they raised red flags with studio executives. Scenes were trimmed, swapped, or even removed entirely in order to balance the movie's intense atmosphere. Even the medieval time scene wasn't safe from the chopping block, but it survived and became one of the standout moments. Number 6. It ruined Carrey's family comedy image temporarily. The shock was unlike anything that fans had seen. Jim Carrey, the king of goofy and family-friendly comedy, had changed for this film, which left audiences stunned. Known for iconic roles like Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber, Carrey had built a reputation for playing lovable and over-the-top characters who brought endless laughter. When in The Cable Guy, he shattered expectations with a dark portrayal of an obsessive and unstable character. The movie's creepy vibe and Carrey's strange behavior made fans wonder if their favorite funny actor had just gone too far. People had mixed feelings about everything, and even famous critic Roger Ebert called it one of the worst films of the year, saying that Carrey's acting was more disturbing than it was funny. The reaction was so strong that some even thought Carrey may have hurt his image as the funny and family-friendly star that everyone loved. Number 5. The tone shift was intentional. It's weird that a comedy in the 1990s could feel so dark, but with The Cable Guy, that was exactly the point. Unlike most comedies at the time, which stuck to safe jokes and lighthearted fun, this movie took a completely different path, and it happened on purpose. Director Ben Stiller and co-writer-producer Judd Apatow knew exactly what they were doing. When Stiller joined the project, he and Apatow radically rewrote the original script, and that turned what was supposed to be a simple story about an annoying cable guy into a satirical dark comedy. They wanted the film to feel suspenseful and even a little bit creepy. But here's the wild part. Stiller didn't use fancy editing tricks to make the movie feel creepy, but instead he filmed scenes in both bright and dark ways on purpose. This would help to create the uneasy feeling that you get when you watch it. The moody lighting, the close-up shots, the awkward moments, they all add to the vibe, and it was all done on purpose. Number 4. The basketball scene used fake footage because Carrey couldn't dribble. Remember that unforgettable basketball scene where Chip tries to show off his skills on the court with Steven and his friends? Well, here's a little secret that will totally surprise you. What you see on the screen is not what it seems. As hilarious as Jim Carrey is in the movie, it turns out that he wasn't exactly a star athlete when it came to basketball. Believe it or not, he could barely dribble the ball during filming. To pull off that iconic scene, director Ben Stiller came up with a clever solution. To pull it all off, Carrey mimed the entire sequence without a real basketball, and later, the ball would be digitally added using special effects to make everything look perfect. So, the next time you watch that scene, you may just be on the lookout for those sneaky edits. Number 3. Critics were split down the middle. It's weird because you don't see this too often. A movie splits critics right down the middle, leaving everyone unsure of what to think. But that's exactly what happened here. On Metacritic, the film scored 56 out of 100, and this rating is labeled as mixed average reviews. Looking closer, the numbers tell an interesting story. About 50% of critics gave it positive, while 46% were mixed, and a tiny 4% outright disliked it. The film holds a similar approval rating of 56% based on 82 reviews at Rotten Tomatoes. Some critics thought it was brilliant, others didn't appreciate it, and they felt the dark humor and creepy tone didn't mix well. The debate even extended to some of the biggest names in film criticism. Roger Ebert hated it so much, he added it to his worst of the year list, while on the other hand, Gene Siskel had the opposite opinion. Number 2. Cable TV satire aged perfectly. As I've been saying, The Cable Guy wasn't always a big and bold masterpiece that people talk about now. Back in 1996, it came out, and not everyone got it. Critics weren't entirely sure if the biting take on TV culture truly worked. They thought it was a dark and strange Jim Carrey comedy, but here's the twist that nobody saw coming. The movie actually predicted the future. Back then, Chip's obsession with cable TV felt almost cartoony, but now it's not so funny anymore. We live in a world where screens rule our lives, social media, endless streaming, parasocial relationships. It's like the movie knew that it was all coming. And now when you rewatch the film, the story's satire feels like it was way ahead of its time. Chip shows how media can control our lives and change the way that we think about the world. Everything in his life comes from what he's watched, and it makes it hard for him to tell what's real. This was strange and a little creepy back in the 90s, but now it just feels scarily true. Number 1. Jim Carrey insisted that Chip should have died at the end. It may be hard to believe, but Jim Carrey had a shocking idea for how Chip's story should end. He wanted him to die. Can you even imagine it? Carrey thought the best and most dramatic ending for Chip would be for him to be impaled on the big satellite dish during the movie's climax. Chip's final moments were supposed to be even darker.
Yeah? No, don't do that. Don't do that. No, come down from there. We'll go out together. We'll have a Heineken.
Yeah.
I'm not thirsty anymore.
Judd Apatow even wrote a version of the script with the jaw-dropping ending to match Carrey's vision, but studio execs didn't exactly agree. They worried that killing off an already creepy and strangely comical character would take the film into territory that was just too dark for its PG-13 rating, making it a challenge to market. What was your favorite part of The Cable Guy, and what would it have been like if Chris Farley had gotten the part? Let me know in the comments. Also, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe so that you never miss another great video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.